Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Wisconsin Investor. I'm your host, Corey Raymond, and I got one of my very own here with me today, who I'll introduce in a second here. I'm excited for this episode today because I think there's a lot of good nuggets that we're going to get from this guest here, which, I'll talk about in a second. Before I do that, though, guys, as I do on pretty much every episode, I talk about our sponsor, Wisconsin Discount Properties. Today is no different. One of the things I'll just remind our audience for, if you're out there and you're interested in the BRRRR strategy, this is one of my favorite strategies in real estate. We have a free course that you can get just by filling out our website, going to our website and filling out the contact form. Get a call going with Connor or Reese from our team, and they will hop on. They'll talk to you a little bit about your goals. What are you looking to do? That kind of thing. And if BRRRR is something you're interested in and you want to take the course, they will get you the discount code to get it for free. Now, this is something when it first came out, we did some one-on-one coaching with it, but it was $3,000 for the course. We got rid of the one-on-one coaching piece for it after a little while. It was $1,900. Now, if you're joining our buyers list, we're giving it away for free. So a ton of value in this course. It's really only designed for people who are ready to take action, though. So if you are still in the info gathering stage of real estate, this is a great place to be listening to this podcast. But if you said, hey, I listened to this, now I'm ready to go do it, the course is the thing you need to get started. So get the course for free today just by going to wisconsindiscountproperties.com. Put your information in there, and we'll get you that discount code. So with that, let me introduce my man, Mr. Paige Nelson. What's going on, Paige?
Hey, not much, man. How are you?
I'm doing good, buddy. I'm doing good. You're actually technically on the clock right now, so we got to make this podcast quick, so I can get you back to doing deals. But for those of you guys that don't know, Paige is a member of our team at iBuyWI, which is the acquisition arm of Wisconsin Discount Properties. And Paige has been through, I don't even know how many houses, Paige, but a ton of houses from your time working with us. He's been collectively with us, I think, about a year and a half total experience here now, locking deals up. So I think just this year alone, Paige, you've probably locked up almost 60 houses at the time we're recording this.
Yeah, somewhere around there, yep.
So Paige is doing an awesome job for us. He's really working really well with our sellers and providing them a great experience in the process. And then he's also been doing some of his own real estate investing here as of the start of this year, I think, is when you got your first one, right?
Yeah.
So today I wanted to have Paige on, guys, because he's a little bit newer to his own personal investing. He's took some massive action this year, him and his wife, and they're learning some lessons. They're continue to move forward, and they're doing a great job with it. But not everything is as roses and rainbows in real estate, as we'll talk about today a little bit. But Paige also has a ton of experience looking at houses. So there's a lot we can cover today, Paige. But I guess just take everybody back a little bit. I always like to start with this. How did you get started in real estate? What got your interest in getting started in real estate in the first place?
Yeah, I would say it's a very similar story to a lot of other people where you had the idea of it, you loved the idea, you watched all those shows back in the day of all these investors and watched all the real estate shows and everything. And we just kind of sat back and was like, that's cool. Oh, these guys are having a lot of success in this industry. And again, always thought about it, never really considered doing it, really diving into it myself. But I knew a couple of people. So I've known Joey for a very long time, right? And you and Joey, he's been with you now for, 6 years or so. And
almost 6 years, yeah.
Yeah. So I've had a few conversations with him. He's had quite a bit of success in this industry, and had, a couple conversations around that. And I really didn't pull the trigger until I got with you in this business here. And, I always joked about when I first started with this company that it was great. I was here just for the information, just for the knowledge, the education is what I was here for. But turns out you pay me too, so that's kind of cool. I like that aspect.
That is a nice benefit.
Yeah. So so I had a lot of conversations with Joey about this stuff, and being here for I was here for a while, 6 months into this thing. Again, just like you said, beginning of this year, I ended up just pulling the trigger on a property. I just said, enough is enough with the analysis paralysis that you talk about. And I just made the leap, and I'm like, let's get the ball rolling. What's the worst that can happen? Oftentimes what I hear from people is it's really hard to make a mistake in this industry, right? If you're really trying and you're doing everything you're supposed to do, it's hard to mess this stuff up. It all comes down to numbers. That's it.
Yeah.
It's math in the end. So, so that was my first one this year. I've done 2 of them now, and looking to do my third one here, closing on that one pretty quick. So
Nice. When you said analysis paralysis, let's go back to that for a second. A lot of times when I see analysis paralysis, it's really fear at the root of it, right? Like, is that what you were experiencing, with some fear of getting started? And you mentioned that you kind of realized at some point what's the worst that could happen.
Yeah.
Leading up to that, was there sort of this thing playing in your head of like worst case scenarios of like, what if this doesn't go right? Is that what was holding you back, or what was keeping you from starting even earlier than you did?
Yeah, I think it comes down to having a clear understanding of the process. I think that might have been part of it, and yeah, there was a little bit of fear there. You don't want to. I don't know if it just comes down to some sort of psychological aspect of it too, where you just don't want to fail. Maybe that's part of it, but it is a big number when you look at it. You're like, wow, this is a lot of money that you're dealing with here, and that was probably one of my biggest concerns there, but. Again, what it really comes down to is just math and having a lot of conversations with you and watching all the people around me, not really caring about this stuff. It seemed like it wasn't that big of a deal to get these properties and do these flips and things. And it turns out that is absolutely correct. But yes, there was a little bit of fear. And once you get over that and you just focus on the numbers of it, that's all you got to focus on. That's all you got to worry about.
Right.
And it all works out in the end. So yeah, that was it. I think, again, working with you and being surrounded with all these people, I think that helped out a lot just to get over it. And I'm not the only one. My wife was she was the angel devil thing. She was, the conscious was there, and she was like, we can't do this. Like, this is a big risk. I had to keep having these conversations with her, and we kind of agreed together that let's just do it. What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah. What was the turning point for her though, Paige? Because I think it's really easy. Like, a couple things you mentioned there, I just want to highlight. I think on every episode so far, almost every episode at least, people are talking about the network, right? And just surrounding yourself with people, right? Everybody who's been in personal development, you always hear that you're the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with, yada, 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 right? It really is true. Now, what's interesting is you chose to come into a profession and literally surround yourself all day long with people who are in real estate, doing real estate on their own. Plus, you work for a business doing real estate. Your wife is not in the industry.
Yeah.
Right. And so you're probably coming home charged up like, oh my gosh, honey, we're going to do this thing. And she's not around this energy all the time of like the confidence that you're getting to suck from her. What was the turning point for her? Like, when did she go from like, hey, this is a really big risk, to all of a sudden like, let's do it? What was that like?
Yeah, and I think it came down to that. It was me coming home, bringing all that energy home and the excitement and enthusiasm, and just sharing a lot of the information that I learned with her. She wasn't completely on board, but she just trusted what I was saying. And so to touch on a little bit, the first property that I picked up was one of the ones that were on our list. It was one that I actually met with the seller and got under contract, and I've seen a lot of value in it. We dug into the ARV and all that stuff. But anyways, I'm getting off track there. But to answer your question, what was it that got her on board? Again, I think it was just saying, yeah, I think this is the right move. I mean, what else are we going to do? The end goal for us is we want to get a couple flips under our belt, get all that education, we're going to learn so much doing that. And then in the long game is to get some rental properties. So,
yeah, cool. Awesome. So she eventually, you just worked her long and hard enough that she finally said, all right, I give up. You win, Paige.
That's right. Yeah.
But I think it is important. Like, I think in relationships, what's important, we talk about the REI success meeting that we run. Wisco RIA has meetings all over the state people can go to. There's caffeine and cash flow that you can go to during the day if the nighttime thing doesn't work for you. So there's plenty of opportunities to surround yourself with people who are in this industry. And I think when you're starting out, it's so important for the audience that's new to real estate or has the interest in real estate to just get outside their comfort zone and get to some of these things. Because the first meeting is going to suck if you're not an extrovert like you or I, right? Like, I love being at those things, but if that's not your cup of tea and whatever, it's going to suck to be there. But you go back, you show up again, and you show up again. And pretty soon you start seeing the same faces and you start having conversations with some people, and you can suck the confidence from those people and make it your own. If you're out on an island trying to do this by yourself, you can talk yourself out of it really quickly and really easily. Or your partner, who maybe is the brake pedal, so to speak, in the relationship, they can come in with a strong position and say no. And if you don't have that confidence that you're sucking from the people around you, that are doing it on a day-to-day basis, like it's really easy just to go, okay, yep, I guess we'll just continue working our job till we're 65, get an RV, drive around the country for a couple of years and die, type of a thing. So, oh, look at that. Paige getting calls right now live on this thing. I mean, this guy's locking deals up.
Nonstop,
right,
man.
Right?
It's nonstop.
I can't.
Just
taking money out of your pocket by keeping you on.
We got to hurry this thing up, man.
Yeah.
All right. No, I think what you're talking about here is super important, though. So it's nice that I have access to all you guys, and we're working in this industry and everything. But if I wasn't here, I would highly recommend that people attend these REI meetings. You can just learn; they're so valuable. They really are. Just with all the people, the networking opportunities there, everybody's there to share something. Everybody's very open and they want to share. Everybody wants to share all their success, and that's just how it is. So if you've never been to an REI, I highly recommend going to one of those.
Yeah, for sure. And I think what's interesting is like as we've had to take our business to the higher levels and continue to grow and expand and that kind of thing. Like we have to pay to go to be in some of these things. Now they call them masterminds. A lot of people have heard that terminology tossed around, right? Like we pay tens of thousands of dollars a year for personal development growth and to be a part of some of these bigger networks. Like if you're local, you're tapping into some of these events that are happening. Most of them are free or a very small charge. I think REI Success, we charge like $100 for the year for 2 people, and we donate any of the proceeds from that. So it's not like we don't charge to make money on this thing. We charge to get people to commit to it. But that's I mean, if you can't get $100 of value by going to one of these events once,
right?
It's you. It's not the event. There's one person in that room. I guarantee one conversation that'll make you more than $100 in real estate.
You can charge $100 a meeting for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And just to clarify for those of you guys, let's say it's not $100 a meeting. It's $100 for the year. Okay. So don't be scared off by that if that number intimidates you. And I get it. When you're starting out, money's tight, right? Like you don't have money to be thrown around on tens of thousands of dollars a year on masterminds. So this is a great opportunity for people who are, just getting their feet wet to get around people that can breathe some confidence into them, connect them to some people that can accelerate their goals and really take them to that next level here locally and around the state. So that's great. Talk about what was that first deal like for you, Paige? What were some of the lessons learned, going into it? What did you think the process was going to be like? And was there, some things that maybe were different than what your initial, thoughts were, even with all the knowledge you do have?
Yeah, no. So it was still, it wasn't easy. Okay. But it also wasn't that difficult. I mean, when I look back on it, I'm like, I made it more difficult than it needed to be. That's really what it comes down to. And everybody says that. They're like, dude, your first flip, you're going to overdo it. You're going to overthink it and all this stuff. So I knew that going into it. I'm like, oh, this will be a cakewalk. I'm going to keep it simple, do all this stuff, right? So this one, again, I got it off of our list. Ended up taking it down for, I think it was like 165, I want to say. Somewhere right around there. No, I did end up using hard money on this. And so I got enough to where it basically covered the purchase price. And then there was maybe another $5,000 or something left over for some rehab. So luckily on this one, I had some capital I was sitting on so I could use to fix it up and a ton of sweat equity also. So I didn't use contractors 100%. I did get in there. Me, my wife and I, we went in there and did what we could, right? Some painting and all these other things. But so that took us, I want to say it took us about 4 months or so. We got it listed. Now, I think the ARV on that thing was somewhere around 250, something like that.
Okay.
Right? So that's what I was working with, those numbers. We went to list this property and we got offers immediately on this thing for over ask. So we listed it at 250 and long story short, it ended up selling for 265. No inspection. I mean, it was amazing. We had several come through. So yeah, that was a success story. That was a big win for us. I mean,
that's awesome.
I probably stuck in maybe about $35,000 into it, $40,000 or so, but still I ended up walking away. I got to the title company, sat down and they cut me a check for about $55,000. So that was a pretty good success story for my first.
Was that 55 grand a profit, or was that 25? That was 55 profit.
Well,
that was after paying for the rehab.
Yeah. So either way, that's what I got that check for, is 55. So you're right. It did cut in a little bit, but either way, that was a heck of a win.
That's still a big win, dude. First flip, man, to make anything on the first flip is what we've said that on the show multiple times. If you're making money on your first flip, that was good luck or good job by you.
No,
right?
yeah,
Because most people on their first flip, if you can just break even, that's a big win.
Yeah.
Right.
So the exact
There's a lot of
numbers,
lessons.
Yeah,
A lot of
I'll have
lessons
to
there.
look back on what the exact numbers were when it was all said and done there. But either way, I made a hefty profit on it. It was about 25 grand or so, and so that was great. I loved that. And now, again, at the same time, though, I was also doing a second flip. So this is where it kind of got away from me. And
this is where I was going to get. I'm glad we're talking about this. I was about to go there, but you beat me to it.
Lesson learned, though, and I think it's really important to talk about this. So for me personally, just starting out, myself and my wife getting after these things here, we were doing. I think we just bit off a little bit too much to start, right? So going back on it, I would say if I just focused on one at a time, it would have been a much better option for us, right? So the second property that we got, I kind of just neglected. It was just kind of sitting off on the back burner there. This one was up in Sturgeon Bay, and now this is a great property. It was pretty amazing, but again, I just didn't put in the time that was needed into this place. It kind of, the time got away from me, and then we just hustled right at the very end there. And long story short, we got it sold, but this one was not a win for me. I did have to bring some money to closing in order to get this thing done, but again, it was
what is the out of those two flips? Are you still net positive, or are you net negative now?
Yeah, we're still up about 15, maybe 20, somewhere around there. So,
shoot, that's not bad, man.
Yeah, no, so it's still pretty good. And
I thought maybe you lost worse on the Sturgeon Bay one.
No, it was okay. It was still I still had to bring a check to closing. Nobody wants to do that, but again, I'm happy that it happened. I mean, for the aspect of looking back on it and figuring out why that happened, right? So it's, I mean, if I was, part of me thinks like, what happens if I would have made a ton of profit? That would have been awesome, right? But maybe I would have really just been slacking in the future again. Now I know that it's very important to stick to deadlines, and the faster you move these things, the better. And I know people say that, but I learned the hard way that you need to get moving on these things. So anyway.
Well, you used hard money for both of them, right?
I did. No.
Talk to the audience who's not really familiar with hard money, because I think this is one of the things that it's a great tool to use, and you definitely used it to get going. So there's pros to using it, and then there's some risks or some cons that people should be aware of. Maybe just talk about your experience with hard money and what that looked like.
Yeah. So hard money, the first one that I went through was Good Faith with Tony Breyer. He, great guy. So what they do is we look at the ARV. So what's the property going to be worth after it's all fixed up and everything, right? So let's talk about the Kimberly property. Say it's a $250,000 home. They will borrow you 65% of that, of whatever that value is. And then I believe there's a couple points up front automatically. But either way, so the convenience of it, the best part about it, I should say, is the convenience of it. It's almost just like cash. So you can come in and offer on these properties, and you don't actually have to have cash. You don't have to have that amount in your bank account. You work directly with these guys. You come up with a game plan of what you're going to do to the property, why you believe it is this ARV and all that stuff, right? They will give you that 65% right away to purchase the property. And oftentimes that there's enough spread there where you'll have a little bit of a rehab budget there too, right? So, so anyway, I like it because it's convenient, it's fast. You're not going to mess around with banks or anything like that. You just get it done. And again, it just comes down to numbers. So it is expensive at times, but the convenience outweighs the price.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for a lot of people who are starting out, hard money we typically see a lot of people start with hard money as their first option because of the convenience. You don't have to deal with the banks. If you're coming in, you don't have a track record yet. Some of the banks don't want to necessarily lend to you yet. So it's almost like the chicken or the egg, right? Like, well, shoot, how am I going to get experience if nobody will lend to me? And I don't have money to go just buy these things cash right now, because that's why I need to flip, because I need money, right? So it's kind of this chicken or the egg. So that the hard money really fills that need in the marketplace to have that. Now, like you said, I typically advise people to avoid hard money as much as possible, because they're going to have some higher costs, and they're going to be less competitive on offers if they're running their numbers properly, right? Because they're commercial financing, as we call it, or community banks, is typically going to be less expensive, but less convenient. Now, for example, a lot of our deals that we put out, Paige, as you know, when you guys are locking these up, you are trying to get close dates that will allow for us to run our process, put it out to the buyers list, have an inspection on them, and then still have 30 to 45 days, ideally, from the date we would assign it to you in order to get it to close, right? Sometimes it doesn't always happen, though. And so if you're using community bank or commercial financing, they need that window because they're going to need an appraisal to tell you how much they're willing to lend you, basically. And then you're going to have that time frame that they still needed to go through whatever approval process and then get it closed. With hard money, it's like you could close it in a couple hours, literally. Like I know Good Faith has closed some in like 3 hours. Literally, they got it from one of the investors that they had been working with. They were comfortable with the investor, comfortable with the numbers, and boom, they had that thing closed up in several hours. So that's some of the big differences. But again, it is more expensive, so it's something to be aware of. You only get usually a 6-month window. If you're working with some national hard money lenders or some national companies out there, they may have longer close time frames where you have to pay it back. But local ones are typically 6 months. So like you said, you think you got 6 months is a long time until you get into a flip, right?
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Yeah.
So looking back at that Sturgeon Bay one compared to the Kimberly one, okay, now that you've had a little time to reflect on it, you mentioned one of the lessons learned with the Sturgeon Bay one was you kind of had it on the back burner. It was kind of just sitting there, right? We just kind of touched on that time frame. Were there other things that now that you've had some time to reflect that you look back and you say, well, this is what made the Kimberly one a winner, and this is what sunk the Sturgeon Bay one and made it a net loser?
Yeah. I mean, it really came down to what I did to the property also. Again, we devoted so much time and energy into the Kimberly property, and we just didn't do the same thing to the Sturgeon Bay one. Now, so for me personally, I've dialed in my buy box a little bit better. So the Sturgeon Bay property was just a higher ticket home, right? It was a $300,000 home, and so that was part of it. Rehab budget was, around similar, about 20 grand or so, but a location also is key. For me, an hour away from home was challenging for me. So that's something that you maybe want to consider in the future. That's something we are considering now going forward here. But we should have just devoted a little bit more time to it. Maybe got contractors lined up beforehand a little bit better than what we did. We had some people that we felt we could trust, and it just kind of fell through. So, again, just a little side note here: going to those REI success clubs and being a part of the group on Facebook is a valuable resource to find quality contractors. Just a little side note there, but
nice.
And that's something I learned also. I was doing it on my own, but word of mouth is definitely the best way to find contractors. So what would I do different? I would have done one property at a time, and I would have devoted a little bit more time and energy and got some better contractors up there.
Got it. Very good. How is that? How are these two experiences changed, the future for what you and Renee are doing in the real estate space? Because you're not scared off by that loss. I mean, you guys are still actively looking. So how has that changed anything other than the buy box, tightening up that buy box a little bit? What other changes are you guys making?
Again, we learned so much just from those experiences. I know I'm not sharing enough details on what we've learned, but we just learned so much from it. And it gave Renee, that's my wife, she's much more confident now in the process, right? Because she's experienced these two now. She's actually excited about it. So she's the one on the buyer's list now, looking at different properties and kind of figuring out what we need to buy. So we actually picked up one coming up here in Appleton. So this one was on our buyer's list also. And we ended up getting the winning bid on that one. And we feel good about it. And she's very excited about it. She's ready to get in there and start getting these contractors lined up and all that stuff. So I think it just comes down to experience. And again, had we not just pulled the trigger on that first Kimberly property, well, then we wouldn't have this confidence that we have now. So
Dude, that is awesome. I think that's such a great lesson right there, guys. I think that's the nugget you got to go back and re-listen to if you were doing something else. You're at the gym working out, kind of listening to this in one ear and doing something else. It's like anything, Paige. Like when you first do something, it's really uncomfortable, right? Like I think about the first time I ever presented in front of an audience, right, or in front of like on stage doing anything. I mean, it's scary. Like, oh my gosh, like I don't know what I'm saying. I don't know if people are gonna like this. What are they? Da 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 da. Now that like I can get on almost any stage in front of an audience, and I'm like, if I know what I'm talking about, I'm like, whatever, not a big deal. Don't care. You can put me in front of 5,000, 10,000, 200 people. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. First time it did. It's the same thing in real estate. Like I think there's a lot of people like listening to this episode maybe that have that analysis paralysis. That's why they're listening to the show. They're hoping I tell them some nugget that's going to just unlock the key to the kingdom. And now all of a sudden they're going to have all the knowledge of all of the real estate investors ever. And now it's going to make all the difference in the world. And it's not until you get into the game and you just pull the trigger and do that first one to really get over that uncomfortable piece. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And the interesting part about this too is again, what I'm doing here, I'm an acquisition specialist. I meet with all these sellers and everything. And now that I've been doing my own flips, that's helping me on both sides of it really. So the position that I'm in here, helping your team here and my personal stuff, they're helping each other.
Right on. How is that helping each other? Like talk about that. Is that just in the numbers now? You're a little more confident in understanding rehab numbers. Is that what you're referencing or what?
Yeah, that's right.
Specifically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So when I, first started with this business and everything, we kind of do our best to dial in numbers and we'd have conversations about it. What does it look like as far as rehab goes and all that stuff? Now when I'm meeting with a seller, I can see things for what it is and have a much better understanding of what that's going to cost, whether it's going to be on your own. Oftentimes when we put it in, we calculate it out hiring this stuff out, right? We don't. Yeah. We try. That's how we do it. So that's what we do on appointment. We look at stuff. We go, okay, well the kitchen, it's a little dated. We don't say this stuff out loud to these sellers, but we start calculating in our minds. We start tallying up all the price and the cost of everything. So that's helped me out quite a bit. Just going through the process on my own, and so yeah, that helps.
Yeah,
and then it helps the other side too. So
yeah, and if you're out there and you're listening to this and you're not an acquisition specialist for a company like ours, which 99% of you are not, what Paige is talking about is still applicable to you, because after you do that first one and you're in the details, you're managing that project, you're either in there doing it yourself or you're hiring it out and finding people, you get a really good idea of all of the costs, right? I remember this was one of my first things, Paige, when we got our first property. I tell this story a lot, but I like literally didn't know the difference between the water heater and the furnace. And I mean, our first house that we did, we built brand new. So like, I never had to maintain anything, or like I changed a furnace filter. That was about it. I didn't have to do anything. It was like white glove service. Right. So when I got into this business, I'm like coming into this with no confidence, because I have no confidence in what anything is in a house. Like, I don't know. I mean, I know what a window looks like, that's about it. And I remember we walked through this first duplex and the floor was pretty beat up and it was kind of sinking, it had the sinking floor going on in the kitchen. And, so I'm like, oh my gosh, this place falling down. Like, what's happening? The garage was like leaning this way. And I was like, oh my God, I need a new garage. I need this. Like, this is going to be a $70,000 rehab. Right. And at the time we had a really good contractor that same thing, word of mouth, networking. Somebody gave us, their contractor that we could use, which is pretty rare. And it was great, which is even more rare. And we walked through this house and I was like, hey man, like how much for like to just update this beat up floor? What do you think that would cost? And it ended up being like way less than what I was anticipating. Yeah. And then I was like, hey, what about like these kitchen cabinets are pretty beat up? And it was like, well, if you replace them, we're probably at this cost. If we just paint them, because they're not bad, they're just ugly, then it's this cost. And I was like, oh, you can do that. Wow. I didn't even know you could paint cabinets. This is amazing. So like just that experience, then pretty soon I would walk into a house and I would be like, oh yeah, 30 grand rehab. That's what it is. Like, it just, after a while you do enough of them, right, and you're just like, it's not scary anymore. It's like, oh, okay, I know square foot for flooring right now is about this to install this. I know windows are going to be this. Like, it's all the stuff. You just start kind of accumulating that, but it takes that experience of doing it a few different times. And you're not going to get that listening to podcasts. You're not going to get that without just getting in and getting dirty and starting to make some of these phone calls, starting to walk some of these properties with some contractors, or in our case, I always recommend people share that buyer resource folder that we have, it has an inspection report in it. It has a walkthrough video. Sometimes we'll have some pictures in there. Just share that with a contractor and say, hey, I'm thinking I would want to do this to the house. What would that cost? Look at the inspection report. What else would need to be done? What would this all cost to do?
Yeah, that's really good advice. And I'm with you.
Ideas.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on this. It's there's oftentimes we just look at a property. So this is what Renee was experiencing during this time too when we first started getting into this. She would see these videos and she's like, "What are you talking about? It's going to cost a fortune to get this stuff up." And I'm like, "No, hold on. Let's break it down. Let's talk about it. Let's look at what the actual numbers are." So it's scary when you look at some of these places. You think it's going to be that you can't even do it. It's going to cost more than the home is worth. But the reality is when you start putting the numbers down and you start adding it up, you're like, oh, it's really not that bad. For an example, we were kicking around these numbers about the siding on this De Pere property.
Yeah.
It's a good example to talk about here. We were kind of going back and forth like, man, this could come back anywhere from 30 grand, 40 grand. I don't even know. Like, it's going to cost a lot. Well, we just got a quote back on it. By the way, this I don't know when this video is coming out here, but this property is live right now.
Not soon enough, Paige. Not soon enough. It'll come out after the week is over. Yeah. So if it's still out there next week and you're listening to this on Tuesday morning, there you go.
That's right. So, anyways, the quote came back, and I believe it was around 16,000 to 18,000. So we were way off. I mean, we were thinking crazy numbers. So that really helped out with the budget quite a bit, and it just goes to show you. Just don't be afraid when you see these things and they seem so overwhelming. It's not that big of a deal. You just dial in the numbers a little bit better, figure out exactly what the cost is going to be, and that's it.
Yeah. And I tend to do that on a lot of our deals. I'm looking at it as a conservative approach. When you guys bring a deal, I'm putting myself in a buyer's shoes when I look at this, right? I'm like, oh, first glance, siding, 50 grand, just budget 50 for it. It was $16,000. To do the siding. I mean, you do 16 grand of brand new siding to that house in De Pere, Wisconsin. So for those of you that aren't familiar with De Pere, Wisconsin, it's a little suburb of Green Bay, super popular market, great schools, so on and so forth, right? But you put new siding and give that thing a new look. I mean, that's a totally different house. And your ARV just goes up just from doing that. 16 grand is not that much to do what that would do to that house, right? But on my first look, I'm looking at that going, oh my gosh. This thing is a dumpster fire, right? Like, good Lord. I did what Renee do. Yeah. But when you start actually diving into some of the numbers and you break it down, you're like, oh, that's only a couple grand here. It's a couple grand there. It's not really as much as you probably think it is. So for those of you guys listening to this as well, I just want to plug the REI Success meeting here as well. If you're in the Green Bay area or you want to travel a little bit if you're not, in November, it'll be the third Tuesday of the month. Normally we do it the fourth Tuesday of the month, but with Thanksgiving being later this week, it'll be the week before that. We did this last year and it was super powerful. Paige, I believe you were at this meeting where we put one of the deals that we flipped up on the screen and we gave everybody a QR code and everybody at their tables went through the inspection report and the pictures we provided. Yep. And they all had to talk about scope of work and what it would be like. And so we gave you our resource folder and all this stuff. And we had obviously the actual numbers on it. And we went around the table afterwards and we had everybody plug in on their little QR code what they thought the rehab was going to be. You remember this one?
Yeah. It was very entertaining and educational.
It was entertaining. We had some people, like their table came up with $30,000 for the rehab, right? And then we had other tables that were at $90,000 for the rehab. So think about, for those of you guys out there listening to this, what Paige is talking about today of just that experience, Paige, you gained from doing those two flips and starting to understand some of the numbers. And then in some of these deals, like, if you haven't had when you had to get siding done before, you're guessing, right? When you're walking through these or looking at them. When we get those things, we try to get quotes on some of this stuff. Now, sometimes we don't have as much time as we'd like, but even if you're not buying that particular deal, if you're looking through all these buyer resource folders and now you see this house and you're like, oh my gosh, they got a siding quote, just plug that into your mental file cabinet here for the next time you have one that looks ugly. You know roughly what the siding would cost, right? And imagine how much more competitive you can be if you can dial in your rehab numbers. Think about how many tens of thousands of dollars people are missing out on out there because they're guessing at the rehab numbers. I mean, that's insane. If you're budgeting 90,000 and your competition is budgeting 30 and they're more dialed in and they know 30 is pretty good number, underbidding by $60,000. How many deals are you going to miss by doing that?
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
It's a huge deal. So, and our actual number on that deal, if I remember correctly, we spent $18,000 on the rehab. So nobody got it right. Everybody over budgeted on what they thought it needed to be done to it to get it to flip and sell. But every market's different. Every property is different too. You know, a rental property, we're going to budget differently on rehab than we're going to budget on a flip property. You know, a place in Sturgeon Bay, a flip, we're going to budget less, more probably for a higher end property than what we would on, you know, something that's the ARV is 180 or something, you know, so just depends. But anyway, well, Paige, man, I got a lot of lessons out of this myself. These are all great reminders. I think our audience did as well. One of the things we always ask every guest, as you know, from listening to this thing, that's required listening here, by the way, at the company. No, I'm just kidding. But we want to include people from outside of Wisconsin, maybe that don't know much about the state. You know, they're thinking about, man, where could I place some capital? Where could I do some of these flips or rentals or whatever the case is? So we like to tell them a little bit about Wisconsin. So for you, do you have a favorite Wisconsin tradition or place you like to visit?
Man, I should have been prepared for this. Oh, man.
This is the only prepared question on these things.
You know, Wisconsin is known for their supper clubs, right? So we friends would like to get together and try new supper clubs in the area. Of course, Door County, that's always a good time. Maybe about twice a year, we'll take the family up in Door County and go visit up there, especially during this time of year where the leaves are changing colors and everything is beautiful up there. But you can't go wrong with a little supper club. They got supper clubs up there too. Two birds, one stone.
We do. Yeah. Yes, that is a great point. Yes, some of the supper clubs up here too are just epic. Like, I mean,
stereotypical.
Some of the best. Yeah, for sure. Well, awesome, Paige. This has been great. Hey, man, if anybody wants to reach out to you either to talk about any of the deals that you got going on or just pick your brain on anything that you talked about today, man, what's the best way for somebody to get in touch with you?
I would say just give me a call. My direct number is 920-247-2536. That's the best way to do it. And I'm open for anybody who wants to call and talk to me about any properties that are out there. And you'll know that they're mine. We do these intro videos on these things, so you'll know which one's mine. Yeah, give me a jingle if you got any questions at all.
Awesome. Well, thanks for everybody for tuning into this. Guys, if you got some value out of today's show, please share it on your socials. Really important for us. We're trying to grow those ratings and reviews. So we've been at this now, I think, about a year. And one of the things I've been doing a really poor job at is really trying to get more of these ratings and reviews and subscribers on the YouTube channel. So if you guys are listening to this episode and you're like, man, yeah, this was great, just do us a huge favor. Go out there, leave a rating and a review for us on whatever platform you're doing it on. And again, if you're watching any of this stuff on YouTube, subscribing to the channel really, really helps us. And then commenting on the videos also really, really helps us as well. So engaging with the content is what I'm being told. Really helps us grow the audience. And we want to continue to get the word out there and let people know about investing in Wisconsin and help some of those other people out there that, like yourself, that are listening for those nuggets. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. We will see you guys on the next episode.